Make sure if you are on Clubhouse, make sure you're following the Sit Down UK. We're holding so many discussions over there over the next few weeks, and we don't want you to miss out. So jump over there. All you have to do is search the Sit Down UK. Sit Down UK. I'm putting it in the chat. So make sure you follow us, man. We're going to be having a conversation with Nathan Hector on Monday. And then on the 22nd, we're going to be joined by this gentleman here. Let me show you right now. Mr. Getz, as we do an appreciation room as he releases his album. So make sure you join us to Sit Down UK on Clubhouse if you're not already. Yeah. Cool. But today we are here for ZEK's. I think he's in the building. Hold on, let me check. Let me get this up. I'll find it. You're doing well. You're looking forward to the One Division tomorrow. JK, I've heard a lot about this One Division, yeah, but I don't know what it is about. So yeah, maybe you can school me in the comments section or school me on the DMs. What is One Division? 'Cause I ain't got a clue. I've just been seeing so much promo about it. If this is your first time, welcome. But if it's not, make sure you're sending this to other people. Let them know that this is kicking off. Any creative that you feel can benefit from this. This is going to be a real interesting conversation with ZEK. And so we're going to get it popping. Okay, he's in the building, so let's not waste your time. You're on time, so let's not waste any time. ZEK, we're going to come over to you. JK, you said you're not an MCU fan. You know what? I'm so bad, I don't even know what MCU is. That's how deep it is. MCU goes way over my head top. How you doing, bro?
All right, man. Just had to drive back in the shit rainy weather today, man. Depressing.
Did you just get back now?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm just on what do you call it, Instagram Live. Sorry, Instagram Live. I just came back from Luton, innit?
Oh, okay. Oh, geez, that's far. That is far.
I mean, it's not bad from where I live. It's only like, I would say 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
Okay, cool.
But just driving in the rain was a mad thing. Still,
yeah,
absolutely. Bro, Mazza. Like driving in the rain is a mezzanine still.
Well, you're here now with us. 21 questions. So welcome, man. Thank you for coming on. Let me get everything sorted out.
And there's like 45.
Say that again.
Oh, who's that? Oh, I thought you were talking.
No. My voice, my connection kind of went.
Oh, okay. No worries. Well, yeah, 21 questions. Welcome for coming. Thank you for coming. And this is your first time on, but you have one pass card. So if you don't want to answer a question, you can use your pass card, but you've only got one.
One. Okay.
All right. So.
Hey. Okay. This is mad.
So use it wisely. All
right. Cool.
Big up to everyone that's just joining us. My name is Icy, and I run the Sit Down UK, and we are an event platform. Actually, we used to before enter Corona. We had live events, but now we're online, doing this every Thursday, 9 p.m. If you are on Clubhouse, come and join us at the Sit Down UK Club. We're going to be running an appreciation room for guests on Monday the 22nd. So we want to have you down there. That's going to be mad.
With power backward. Hi.
And then this Monday.
Had a longer verse though. I was annoyed.
This Monday we got a segment called In the House, and we're going in the house with Nathan Hector. Actually, so you're
Big Nathan,
Big Nathan, yeah.
Come on.
So Monday 9:30, that's going to be popping off. So make sure you're joining us.
Love that. Love that.
But without further ado, let's jump into it. So how we're going to do this? We're going to start you off with a quick fire round. So quick fire questions. Okay. Don't think too much about them. Answer them as they come. All right, cool.
Okay. Cool.
First one. Are we ready? Morning or night worker?
No, definitely, definitely. I've always been a night worker. I do late hypertrophy exercises and that throughout the night. Anyway, I started off as a gym fanatic before this whole
Oh
photography.
yes, it's true, it's true.
So,
Okay.
yeah, but morning is always better for a man because your testosterone levels is more active. That's a
Common
scientific fact.
scientist. All right.
That's a scientific fact,
Who
and it's for
would you,
women as well.
okay, we got the women as well. You're involved as well. All right, we got you. Who would you love to shoot, dead or alive, as in photography?
Oh my god, these
One
questions.
person, only one
Oh my
person.
God.
Quick fire. Let's go.
Eminem.
Oh, okay. Why Eminem? Very quick.
I'm a guy who appreciates lyricism, man, and I feel
Okay.
like new generation, he was part of that.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give it to you. No worries. Favorite holiday spot?
Ghana.
God, I knew you were going to say Ghana.
Ghana. But as well, Argentina is another one that I've been to, which is one of my countries where I'm from, which a lot of people know. Yeah.
Okay.
So Argentina is amazing, man.
Pick up Argentina. Which image are you most proud of?
The J HUS photos.
Okay. All right.
Definitely the J HUS photos. Most naturalistic photo shoot I've ever had, which was these press photos, and it just turned out to be like an editorial, which was so sick.
Oh, awesome. Love it. What's the biggest client mistake you've ever made?
Went to a shoot with a faulty SD card when I was about to shoot, and my SD card was corrupted.
Wow.
Bro, it was pain. And another one as well. One day, it wasn't my fault, but it was just a natural cause. Went to a shoot one day where I had a big behind the scenes shoot, and then my camera just corrupted. Like, boom! I stopped working.
So what did you do?
It was peak. It was so peak, bro. But luckily, big shout out to Malik Berry, because Malik was super nice-hearted, and he actually got someone there who knew that had a BTS camera with them. But obviously, he wasn't as good, but I still worked with it.
Oh, big up Malik. That's a good brother there. That's one of my brothers as well.
He's good people, man.
Best piece of advice you've ever received?
Be prepared for the unprepared. That's a quote I definitely fuck with. Heavy. Like, that's a quote. It's just, what's meaningful about it is the fact that we always think we're prepared things for life, but sometimes the unprepared factors that come out the occasion is sometimes the things that make us 10 times better within that situation. So that's the thing I would say.
Definitely. When are you the happiest?
When I'm touring, or when I'm doing a massive festival or a headline show for an artist, and I just see the mosh pits on that live. It's ecstatic. That's what I like. Energy.
Yeah, energy. We're missing that at the moment, man. Biggest inspiration?
Bruce Lee.
Okay, all right. We'll get into that.
Yeah, there's a quote. There's a lot of quotes which I stand by Bruce Lee, but we'll speak about that.
Cool. £8 million. If you won £8 million, what would you do?
Invest into properties, invest in stocks and crypto, and buy my mum a house and myself a house.
Come on, love that. Sounds like King Zeki.
And buy a home back in my land, basically.
Back in Iraq.
Which a lot of people don't know, but me and my sister actually bought a house last year for my mum, but I didn't announce it.
Ah.
Yeah, but we're just waiting for things to calm down a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's one thing I was super proud of.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Last one. What is the biggest misconception about photographers?
That we're all selfish, that we're all vile, and when we're shooting live shots that we're rude, which is absolutely nonsense. That's mainly the Getty Images photographers and the photographers that work for these big corporations, like the older white photographers. They're the rudest ones. Whereas the younger ones, we're more excited, we're more open, we're more free to let people know and get to know about us. Yeah. So yeah.
That's
and
deep.
as well, another thing as well, misconception, people think we're Superman, that we can turn things from something to nothing in 24 hours, which people don't know that it takes a process.
To actually go through to get it, 100%.
Yes.
Well, that was quick fire round, 10 questions. You just breezed through that. Can we get a round of applause in the comment section, please? Light work.
I thought it was a clubhouse, you do the end.
That was light work. Okay, cool. So the reason I wanted to interview you was because obviously first couple of times I came onto Clubhouse,
Yep.
I came into that room where they were talking about mental health, and I loved how you spoke about that topic, how candid and open you were. And then finding out about you, I was like, oh my gosh, I love what this guy has done, is doing, and the things that you're advocating. And I used to be a music photographer myself. So,
Jeez, okay.
so my first shoot was I shot Wretch's black and white tour in Shepherd's Bush Empire. That's it.
I think I saw those photos.
Is it? Oh,
I
snap.
think,
Okay.
bro, I always see people's photos, bro.
I also got to shoot the front cover for Tiger's 187 mixtape. Yeah. So
Not lads.
so going through your stuff, I was like, man, I remember going back in those days, and it's good to be able to kind of connect on that level. So I want to start at the beginning. We're going to jump in. Okay. I want to talk about when you were 4 years old. Okay. And I want to know how the trauma of what you saw at 4 years old, how it shaped you to become who you are today.
Cool. So yeah, so we're gonna go really deep.
We're just gonna go straight in.
Yeah, F it, man. Like, this is what it's about. So some people know, some people don't know. So for those who don't know, I basically was diagnosed with chronic severe depression when I was 13 years old. After I found out from a situation that concurred within my family, which I was 4 years old, I was a young kid, went back to Iraq for the first time as a young boy, during the war with Saddam and obviously the Americans and the British. My dad came there because he had to sort out a few things to free himself within like the nationalist army and just obviously free himself like not serving within the situation, and he knew Saddam wasn't the true enemy. So we went back there for the first time, and we went to my mum's city, which is called Najaf, so where my uncle lived. So my uncle lived in the same household. So one day, I remember my mum was going to go to the grocery store, and she basically got stopped by my uncle, and my uncle said to her, like, look, you've got a young son, you've got two daughters alongside. Let me go and just obviously take place, and I don't want anything happening to you. And obviously her and her brother, who's supposedly obviously my uncle, they were both arguing back and forth, disagreeing, and obviously he just left, and then he drove off. And then as soon as he drove off, a bomb attack went off. I think it was 45 miles, like radius, like away from the situation. And then obviously I was a young kid, so you know when you're young, you don't really sense these things and you don't really feel these things. But all I remember was the magnitude of the force of the bomb was just so devastating. I was just panicking. Like, I didn't know what happened. I was just sitting there thinking, yo, what, like, scared. And I remember my dad picked me up and he ran inside and took me to the house. And then we just didn't know about what happened to my uncle. Then 3 days after, we found out from one of the departments from the Iraqi National Police Service that they came to our house and they announced they found my uncle's dead body. And they announced that he was basically killed in a coalition bomb between the Iranians and the Iraqi forces. And then my mum was broken. She suffered from PTSD for like so much years after that. My dad was just confused. My mum and dad's relationship kind of disintegrated so badly because he was like one of those ones where they thought their relation was just so far away, and they had like this separation where it was awkward. Like even though they, thank God, like from God's perspective, they didn't divorce or do anything mad. But it's just from that perspective, just seeing how things got underlined and just seeing the situations that concurred within that moment. It was scary times, man. Like, I didn't have the opportunity to speak about these things. So when I was 14 years old, my dad told me about the whole situation and then told me the utter truth. I felt a bit different because it was interesting. I didn't really take it in, but it was just weird because obviously I got diagnosed it, and I found out that when I was 14 years old, there were times where I was just feeling mentally down. I didn't come out from my household for like quite long, because back in where I used to live in an estate in Ilford, we used to come out and play football with the local people and that. So I didn't come out for like a month or so, and I remember
Wow.
things were just unhealthy within that matter. And people saw the situation, like my family didn't really care about it, but they just saw something was weird. So then later on the years when obviously I made the move from going from Ilford to Edgware Road, where I currently live now, I didn't do well on my GCSEs. I'm going to be super honest. I didn't do well.
Yeah.
How should I say? I retook my GCSE twice. Didn't do well with my maths and English, and a lot of things just didn't go down the hill. So then my mum then came in 2014 and said, "We're gonna, what do you call it?" So no, 2011 actually. Sorry, she said we're gonna move out to Edgware Road. I was thinking like, what's going on here? Like, what? Since when? What? Blah blah blah. So then I trusted her instinct. We made the move. So made out. Then I went to City Westminster College. I then studied BTEC Level 2 Media. I was always a lover of film. I used to love watching film because of my sister and my dad. My dad used to always put me on old school Egyptian films. So he used to make me watch these old school Egyptian films. And that fun fact, one of the greatest Egyptian actors and singers, one of his sample songs got used for Jay-Z's song Big Pimpin'.
Oh, that sample, yeah.
So he's a legendary singer from Egypt in the 50s. So we obviously I grew up in a household where obviously my dad and mum used to watch a lot of Arabic films, and I used to watch a lot of films. My dad was a massive film fanatic. Like he used to watch a lot of old school 70s films. So he showed me films like Casablanca. He showed me like these great films like Citizen Kane. Old school movies that blew Hollywood.
Come on.
Films like Seven as well, and Seven Monkeys, which was a fantastic film.
Yes.
So my dad showed me those type of films. I was really into it. I loved it. So I was like, you know what? Let me start off and get into the world of film and see where it takes me. So originally I started off as a videographer, which a lot of people did not know.
So they just thought you were a photographer?
Yeah, man. So I studied BTEC Level 2. Retook my maths and English for the third time. I went from an E to a B in English language. Aced my my mathematics to C. Passed it, and then my first year, level 2 creative media, I got 3 distinction stars. Aced that.
I wanted to study that. I never got to. I really wanted to study that.
City Westminster I went to City Westminster at the time when it just got rebuilt, so it was perfect. It was so good that time. Obviously now City Westminster is a bit problematic because everywhere from London, everyone's just going there and they just suddenly bump into their enemies and stuff. So it's like when I went there, it was amazing. I studied level 3 for 2 years. So first year of level 3, I got 2 distinction stars and a distinction. Then I got a distinction star and 1 distinction and 1 merit. I got in 4 out of my 5 universities. Unfortunately, the university I wanted to mostly go to, I got declined by, which was Ravensbourne. Funny enough, before obviously I'm going to say what I'm going to say, one of the guys who works for the student ambassadors at that university now wants me to do a talk for them on Instagram Live. So it's so funny how I got rejected by the university, and then now I'm going to be doing a talk for them for sponsors with Canon and that on top. Like it's just surreal. And I always believe in manifestation. It's such a big thing. So after that whole thing, done well, studies going well, then I got to university at 2015. That's when I started my photography career. So my friend then just brought me an opportunity. So he caught up with me.
Oh, wait. You're going to go to Zubair. We're going to come to that. We're going to come to that.
That's one part. But yeah, that's one part.
But I think that's a beautiful thing that from that situation, you can still kind of see you blossoming in life. Like, obviously, there's times that are still hard and times that are so difficult, but you still have found ways to make it through the cracks. And I wanted to see, like, what from that whole period, what did you learn from your parents and how, as a child, what did you learn from your parents in terms of how they were and how they dealt with everything?
I think not much at that time because we didn't really have a communication factor between us about mental health yet. Because when someone spoke to my dad about mental health, my dad just brushed it off. Like he had this alpha male mentality, like you see with all our cultural families. they first generation families. So like, sorry, not first generation, but our generational family, they brush off mental health because
Yeah,
back their time there was no social media, there was no platforms that they could speak about these things. Like they would have to brush it off and just move on. Like especially my dad being in the army, being a lieutenant head commander, someone who's actually trained to assassinate
Wow.
the same family members. Like it's mad, it's crazy.
Wow.
And then it was that time I didn't have that connection with them. But then when things got worse around 2018, 2019, that's when things opened their mind, which we can get to on a bit later.
Yeah, definitely,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
And your dad was a bodybuilder as well.
Powerlifter, actually.
Powerlifter.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where I get my power from. Naturally. Yeah.
And your love, yeah.
Yeah, man.
I mean, your love for the gym kind of developed later as a coping mechanism, but having that root in your family, it's almost like, again, that full circle, you know. That's interesting.
Exactly.
You were a semi-pro footballer, but unfortunately had an injury.
But it's that, but I wasn't in the right place as well, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was that really on your heart to do football? Like seriously?
Yeah, it was. I love football, man. I loved it, bro. Like honestly, it was something I was so happy for. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's crazy because the talent I had around my circle was just insane. Like, there was one guy I think he joined. Like one guy, I don't know if he's in there, but a guy called Samir. Samir's mate, bro. This guy was in this generation of talented footballers in Arsenal. Academy, so he was in the same time when Gibbs and all these guys came through, like Jordan Park. Yeah, man, that talent, bro, was ridiculous, and yeah, man, just it's crazy just being in that generation. But yeah, like football was something I'm amazed for. I used to play rugby quite a lot.
Jeez.
Yeah, man, it was the two major sports I liked. I was pretty an athletic guy as well, so I used to do sprinting and that, but I was pretty fast. So yeah.
What was your time for 100 meters?
I can't remember. I was more of a 60 meter on a 400 meter.
Okay.
Yeah. So I love 60 meters because the quick short bursts, and 400 meter I like it because of the one singular distance. But at the same time, you use your sprint to burst through.
At the last point, yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly, which I like. 400 meters was pretty good, and 800 as well because I had decent stamina. Like my stamina back then was just phenomenal, man. I could run for days, bro.
Come on.
Yeah.
Big up to everyone that's joined us so far. We are in conversation with ZEK SNAPS, and so far I've just been talking a little bit about his past, his history, and him just coming out from a very traumatic situation. And we're going to get into it, how he still navigates that path. So if you're joining us, welcome. I wanted to ask about, you were going to talk about who gave you your first camera. So the likes of Zubair, big up Nathan Hexer, Shay Lingo, Risky. These are people that along your journey have been pivotal. These are pivotal relationships that you had and still have. And I wanted to ask, how valuable have relationships been in your whole career that you've seen so far?
Do you know what? Yeah, I feel like with having people of that caliber, for example, that have been in the game for quite a bit, and just especially it's mad because first of all with Zubair's situation it's crazy because obviously he's never had any experience. So how what happened was he just maybe that one connection with Paige Keiki, and then everything just opened. And then from there, I just met Risky and Shy, who are obviously they're brothers to each other. And then after that, I met, I think, Q, who worked in Acoustic Box Park Live, Shoreditch every Sunday. Yeah. So Q obviously was the part owner of...
Q the Wolf, right?
Yes,
okay, yeah.
Exactly. So big up Q. Then I met Nathan Hector at Box Park Acoustic Sunday when Double S performed for the first time in 5 years. Jeez. So... I met Nathan there, and then after that, Nathan then brought me to opportunities, and through Risky, I met Shay Lingo, and then through a photographer I know called Yasmin, I got introduced to a guy called Mr. I Am Next, who's known as Seshi, who does like amazing platforms for like upcoming artists before they all blew. So like he done stuff at S&E, House of Pharaohs, Lord Apex, all of these great alternative rappers. But what Seshi done in the scene was just incredible because he done shows in the last couple of years with Smoke Perp. He done a show with ASAP Ty. He done a show with Novelist.
Come on.
He done a headline show for a couple of other people. Like I know he's done something with 808 Inc. and stuff. So Seshi's an amazing character, but not only that, he's a fantastic host as well. Him and the best untouchable MC hosts in the country. Like,
Come on.
them two, for their own. Like they're untouchable. I can't lie.
Yeah,
So,
I love it.
yeah, man, just having important people around your circle, and then obviously I've got someone like obviously my friend Andre here as well, who's in the chat. Brian, who was one of my first college mates, who actually had a lot of belief in me.
Nice.
It's crazy, man, that just seeing him around, always been there. Like, even though we speak often and that, it's just crazy, like, how he's seen my journey throughout college and that to be where I am now. So it's always important to have people that you love
I love you. Yeah.
and appreciate you as a person. So that's the key factor. That's the key factor.
How have you kind of dealt with relationships that haven't gone so well? So bridges you've kind of had to burn because of, sake of your own sanity or the situation. How do you deal with that?
Do you know what's so mad? Obviously, I was one of them guys that had this guilt pleasure factor within me, that I felt sorry for other people when I thought it was my fault and that. But then I realized, you know what? Life's too short to think about other people's problems and fulfilling their deeds rather than your own deeds. Do you know what I'm saying? So sometimes you just have to make a move and really signify your journey ahead of anyone else's. But at the same time, like, all the people that I burnt my bridges with, we turn out later on to be blessed with each other. I think that's one thing I love about myself. Like, I bless things later on with people, and then they just be like, you know, it is what it is. It happens. We're all human beings. We all make mistakes. Like, no one's perfect in this world.
100%. 100%. Love that, man. Big up everyone that's joining us, man. You're speaking some real gems right about now. Tell me about, you've taken so many opportunities that have been placed before you. You know, when Zubair gave you the camera, even with Nathan, an opportunity opened up to them. You don't have to take them. But I want you to talk to us about seeing opportunities and seizing them, but also taking risks when you see them arise as well.
You know, so mad. Shay Lingo actually has a phrase of a lyric: "The risk is proof."
The risk is proof, yes.
Yeah, that's one of the greatest quotations I've heard from a human being. And honestly, when I just heard that from Shay, I finally see the fulfillment of why that actual quotation exists. Because it's like, if you're ready to go and break boundaries, you have to go out there and do your thing all guns blazing. But at the same time, you have to take a risk, whether it's positive or negative.
Come on.
You take under your chin, you move on to bigger things, call you success. But at the same time, negative, you have to fit the script, learn from the mistake, and then take it as a W rather than an L. You know what I'm saying? It's a life lesson. So as we all go about that phase, life lesson 101. So it's part of that whole that whole scenario of like following through life lessons 101. So I definitely say the risk is proof is such a big thing to follow by and actually undertake throughout your journey. Yeah,
definitely. And you've had to do that, and you've taken opportunities, and one of them led you to go viral with the Migos. You and what was it? Who was that you were collaborating with?
Sam.
Yes, and doing the GIF and everything, getting it on BET. What happens after a moment like that when you go viral? What?
Oh my God. You see that? Yeah, bro, I felt like a music artist on social media. I was like, yo, what the hell is going on? Bro, I couldn't stop looking up. I was like, yo, I can't handle this no more. Like, yo, this is bad. Exactly same thing like with the whole Black Lives Matter thing and that, man. But the Black Lives Matter thing was more emotionally attached to me. And it had a lot of like signification for me, and it meant to me a lot, because being an outsider from the Black community and just being someone who appreciates the Black community and being someone who supports it and is an advocate for the Black community, and especially like someone who stands by them, for my brothers and sisters and the kings and queens of that community. I felt the importance of that. I felt like I played a part of that history where it spoke a million volumes for the people from my race and other races that ain't from the Black community to really understand the pain and suffering, and as well as the whitewashed brushaways that they've had within their communities, that, let's just say, the Western world and other people from other countries have wiped out their true history. So it's like, for me to be a part of that and to bring that sense of integrity forward, It's so important. And I feel people like myself who aren't outside of the black community not only need to appreciate and respect the art, but as well be thankful that we're part of it. And you know what? Like, I always thank them because they've given me their welcome arms.
Yeah.
They've opened me with open doors, and they've never ever moaned or complained about anything. And it's crazy because it gives me my sense of inspiration to go back and do stuff for the Middle Eastern community and the Arabic community.
True. Yeah, 100%.
Because a lot of them think like people think the Arabic and Middle Eastern community support each other, but that's actually not true. A lot of them don't actually support each other, and a lot of them are there for their own sense of money and greed. So that's why, even like when I was on Clubhouse with like this Arabic collective, we always speak about how we're going to break the boundaries and stuff
Together.
Yeah, exactly. And that whole thing within the black community gave me that sense of inspiration. I'm always thankful for that.
And tell me about that picture in particular, because I remember when it did happen. You know, I saw your image everywhere. I didn't know where it came from, but I just saw it everywhere. Did you know in the moment where you captured that picture of John Boyega that it was going to be a moment?
It's mad. So I missed him when I got wide shots of him when he done the first speech, impeachment on like the stands inside Hyde Park. And then basically what happened was, it was so funny. So here's a little story of how I got in front of him to the next part outside Parliament. So I knew he was going to be in front. So it was him, Belly Majinga's family. So I followed Belly Majinga's family and I was taking photos of them. And then I'm following Imani Norton, the girl that basically went viral, the black girl with the blonde hair. She was very extremely vocal for like in front of these places. And then I remember I was documenting her, just getting photos of her. I didn't know, she didn't know who I was. A lot of things just went down. And then I was in front line with them, and then I saw the women that organised Justice for Black Lives alongside John Boyega. So shout out to Abba, Naomi, Venus, and the other young queens that done their thing there. So I see it. So when I was rushing through and they said John Boyega's going to be at Parliament in 2 minutes, bro, imagine I saw one of my friends who I knew from the area. He was on his Santander bike. And then he was about to go on his Santander bike. He's like, bro, would you need it? And I said, yeah, I need to actually go on it. I rode the Santander bike all the way to Parliament. I had my camera with my friend. We were driving on the Santander bikes, and people looking at us are like, is this guy mad?
Yeah.
I dropped it off and I bumped into everyone, pushing out. Everyone was like, get up, man's way, blah, blah, blah. Bro, as soon as I was there, moments.
Front line.
I use my events. I use my music.
Trust me, because you know where the shots are going to be.
And then, bro, I just had it. Bang, 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 bang. I was just taking crazy portraits of him. I said to myself, do you know what? I didn't care if it was going to go viral or popular. All that mattered was the content for the people.
Capturing it.
About. But that whole night, bro, it was just immense. For 5 days, I remember my whole gram was blowing off. And you know what? I got to give a shout out to Amjad Spate, because he saw my snap and he's like, bro, send me the photos as soon as you get home. He's like, I'm posting them straight away and I'm crediting you. Sent it to him, done it. My whole thing just went off. And then everything just opened differently. And then, yeah, man, I had a lot of people from press messaging me. I had CNN, I had BBC, and that. I declined all of them. I said no to them. I said I only gave it to 2 independent black magazines, and obviously they actually paid for my photos, which I thought was not going to happen, but they paid for it, and then they respected my craft. But the fact that I actually had interviews from the BBC and that saying to me like, we would love you to come in as an Arabic creative to speak about Black Lives Matter, or why a perspective on Black Lives Matter is so important from another ethnic perspective. I know what you guys got to do. I know how you guys.
Exactly.
I said, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. So I left it that. Didn't do it, and then I moved forward. I was like, yep, this is not my taste. I said, I know how people are like, and I know how people move in that situation. So I left it as that. But then I had like people like Complex UK messaging me, link up, GRM. So I gave it to like black owned platforms, and I just done my thing and moved on.
And I love that, because that speaks to the integrity, again, not only of you as a person, but the moment, the integrity of the moment and capturing it. It's not to actually profit from, it's to make aware. And you knew that and was able to, even when being shoved in the face of opportunity, shoved in the face to raise your profile, raise your name, you know, you were able to say, no, I actually understand.
Yeah, man.
I understand what this is like.
It was for the love of the culture, man. It wasn't for the love of like the popularity contests. I don't care about that, man. Honestly, what I care about is for my art to be spoken in a million volumes. Oh, also shout out to Big Captain, you know, one of the biggest photographers in Ghana, one of the lit photographers in Ghana.
Big up, Captain.
Yeah, man, this guy's lit, man. Super, super lit. Like, I was with him in Ghana for the first time I met him, and yeah, this guy's super solid. But yeah, man, that's what it's about, though. Like, that's what it's about. Sometimes I just had to realize and kick in my instinct. I was like, do you know what? These are the same people that use propaganda on my country to look like it's a terrorist country.
Yeah.
These are the same people that bribe black people to look like criminals for like more than 50 plus years.
Yeah.
These are the same people that make ethnic people look bad.
Mm.
I was like, I'm not doing it. I said, I'm not doing it. I said, I am not doing it. I said, let me leave out myself and get out of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
Big up to you, man. I was going to ask, actually, you mentioned about those platforms who are willing to pay you. How do, actually, let me ask that. Yeah, I'm getting my, sorry, there's a question that came up.
No. Oh, go on.
Someone asked a question, big up Creative Kelly's. She said, do you ever get too many opportunities and have to turn some down? If so, how do you choose?
Good question.
Big up Kelly.
Yeah, so good question. Basically, I've realized like turning down opportunities can actually be the biggest turn points in your career. I feel like taking too much opportunities can actually mess up your whole organizational skills and can make you feel derailed and obviously demotivated, and it can really break your boundaries. Like obviously what happened with Sam, unfortunately, I'm not going to get in detail about that, but just a lot of things that sometimes we take in too much job to the point where we feel like we can balance it. We love the creativity, but at the same time, we love the money coming in. But sometimes you need to realize that you're just a human being.
Yeah.
Take a break, eat yourself back, and know what opportunity makes sense to you. And that's going to bring you far within your career.
Yeah.
At first, it's okay to take risks. It's okay to do a lot of jobs for free. But then later on, when you reach that pinnacle point where you know your name's buzzing, your brand's out there, you're doing your thing, start having a balance within yourself and really understanding your sense of balance. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's a really key thing I think a lot of people need to take down as a sense of knowledge and really dive in within that perspective. So it's important. As Indigo said, it's not only important in my industry, but
every industry.
Exactly. Taking a break and revitalizing your energy. Like even for example, when I went to Ghana, I took 2 weeks off Instagram and I took 2 weeks off Clubhouse. No one knew what was going on. I had people messaging me saying, "Are you okay? What's happening?" Blah blah blah. But then I was like, "Yeah, like, I'm good." Like I was just taking breaks for myself. Do you know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's needed. Revitalization is a big thing for your energy.
What did you find in that? Actually, before you took that break, was there a fear of not being able to withdraw from your environment? And then what made you say, no, I'm just going to do it?
Life's too short to withdraw from things and hold on to things. I see where people come from and say, oh my God, but we might lose jobs and people might not see us consistent. Listen, as I said, you're just human.
Yeah.
Stop thinking about what others think. Come back when you're ready. And when you do have a break and you know you've got enough content to come back with, that's when you talk. People rather see you come back and they think you're working under silence. You know what I'm saying? I've seen a lot of people talk about, oh my God, look at this shoot I've done on, look at the BTS I'm doing. Like, cool, that's fine, like, no problem. I respect what everyone does and does the thing. But stop basing out what you're doing and the moves you make to people before you announce it. Or stop announcing things that are not 100% within a result that you know is going to happen, and then when it doesn't happen, you're going to make yourself look very, very, very bad in front of people. Because trust me, social media will detect things and they will put you down onto the public. This is the fact. That's what I say. So the best quote I'd go by is, silence is the best ninja's weapon. Reason why being is every ninja, when they get tasked to do what they do, they work under the shadows of silence. Every ninja in Japan, if you study about Japanese ninjas, you will see how they've been so superly well trained to be how great they are within their traits. You know what I'm saying? They're the greatest assassins in all history of world history itself. So
silence.
That's the thing.
Real G's moving silence like lasagna.
Some puns. So you
Big up.
guys are winning. Yeah, of course. That's the way forward.
Trust me. Big up everyone that's joining us again so far. It's a 21 questions with ZEK SNAPS. He's just sharing the gems, giving you the tools that you can actually apply to your life. Like he said, not just the photography industry, but whatever industry you are in. All right. Take us back to that topic we were talking back at the top. I recently started therapy and going through therapy and realizing there were certain issues in my life that I needed to speak about. And, you know, when we was in that clubhouse room, you were talking and I was thinking, wow, I can relate in so many ways. And there was an interview you spoke about your alter ego and having to fight against your alter ego, you who is ZEK, but also the ZEK who is down, when you're down and you feel depressed and sad. And I want you to talk a bit about that fight and how that goes.
So the whole personification of what I meant by that is how I actually compared that was me at the gym. So for example, when you look at yourself in the mirror at gym, and especially like, say example, you're doing your heaviest rep or you're going for that one rep and you're trying to break the record. Let's just say myself, if I'm trying to break my 210 kilo one reps factor, it's like that mirror that I face against, if I'm trying to lift it and I can't lift it, it will tell me deep in my head, you can't do it. Like you're not strong enough. But at the same time, I look at that and then I say to myself, opposite to that, I am not that. I am greater than who I am. And when I accomplish that one rep or two reps of that heavy rep and I break the results, I feel like I've conquered my inner demons. And I compare my inner demons to my alter ego. That's how the whole comparison of personification came. Because I compared myself to how I look in the mirror. And they always say, when you look at the mirror, you look at yourself in a parallel factor. Because sometimes it's interdimensional. If you look at the mirror and you look at yourself, sometimes you may be deep happy inside, sometimes you're not happy inside.
True. With
how you look, what you are, blah, blah, blah. So I feel like your mirror can be a reflection of your pain and suffering. So take that in mind, people.
Yeah, that's true. And those are the things that you have to kind of grapple with. And in the mirror, you can't really run away from it. Your mirror is the truest reflection of what's going on and you're dealing with inside. And for you, I wanted to ask, dealing with depression, you mentioned before how there was that day in the kitchen when your dad came in. What happened that day, that significant day, that your dad came in at the right moment, at the right time?
Yeah, my dad and my manager, actually.
Oh, wow.
So it was messed up because this was 5 days after my 25th birthday. So
wow.
A lot of things just went down. I didn't celebrate my 25th. A lot of people let me down and just didn't unfortunately get to celebrate it. So then obviously no jobs was hardly coming in. I was just out of my head. I was just thinking like, what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. So then came to a point where I had a knife in my hand. Sorry, no, I went to the kitchen and I wanted it in my life and I had like a big butcher knife in my hand. And then before I had a butcher knife in my hand, I was putting like encrypted messages with like deep messages. So I had like ... Then the next one I had was like a photo of a man like in a far away place from the world, like black and white. And then I had a photo of like a silhouette man crying with like white tears coming out, and he was about to hang himself.
And this was on your phone?
Snapchat, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So because with Snapchat,
okay, because it's going to disappear.
It's very personal. It's very, very personal. Like that's where all my closest people are. I never do on Instagram or nothing.
Okay.
But I learned from the harsh way to never put your personal shit on Instagram or put it up, because that's where a lot of people can cancel you and put you in a bad place, or they don't see you as a serious business person. So I remember I put those encrypted messages, and a lot of people were messaging me. I had like 37 messages. People saying, what's going on, blah 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 blah. And then I was just sending messages like ... And then people were just running scared. People didn't know where I lived until then. What happened was...
And when you were writing that ... in your mind, what were you trying to say? What were you trying to signal?
It was just like I didn't want to say help me, but it was like a help thing.
Wow.
But at the same time, like I felt defeated. And I felt like I was going to be defeated. And then what happened was one of my best friends, she sent a screenshot of that message, one of my Snap stories, to my manager. And then my manager was calling me down, and then he knew where I lived. So he's only like one of the only people that knows where I live. So he then drove all the way, because I remember what day my mum and dad was in A&E, because my mum was very sick that day. So she had like a lot of chest pains. So he somehow got hold of my mum's number. My dad picked up the number, and then he somehow spoke to my dad, and then they spoke, and then he picked them up from St. Mary's, drove all the way to my house, which is like 5 minutes from St. Mary's to the yard. And then, bro, I had it like here. Like, imagine. What was so scary was the fact that I had it right in my hand, and I was just saying like my prayers. I was just like this, like I was just like, bro, I was shaking. And then I was just like speaking to myself, and I was just praying to God, and I was saying to like Allah, like Bismillah Rahman Rahim, all of these things. And I was saying to myself, like, thank you for this life that you gave me, but unfortunately when I kill myself, I'm not worth nothing. I don't know what happened. All I just heard, boom, 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 boom. Door gets smashed down. 2 people running in, and I was thinking, like, what's going on here? My dad and my manager ran into the kitchen, rugby tackled me down to the floor.
Wow.
And then my manager was like, Zek, stop, you're not doing this, blah, 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 this and that. And then I was just crying, and I was just shaken, and then they stopped me. And then my dad was just like having his head on his head, like he had his hands on his head. He was just like crying. He was shaking. My mum, because obviously she's got PTSD and she's diabetic and she's got cholesterol and anxiety, she couldn't bear it. So it was like my manager had to calm down the whole situation. A lot of things went down. Then my manager told my dad, "You see what your son's going through. This is what he's been trying to tell you guys for so long. And every time you guys have tried to spoken to him about university, expectations, how you're going to make money and that, this is one part of his problem." So then what happened was they took me downstairs to my room. My dad and my manager were discussing and speaking. My mum was just like paro. She was just about to collapse. So much things went down to the household till then. My manager drove me to his house for one day, took me to his house, and then obviously he separated me from my mum and dad for like 4 days. And then my sister called in and she was like, listen, I know someone that does therapy. She's an amazing woman that works in Marylebone Therapy Centre.
Is that Sarah?
Yeah. She's worked with a lot of major people in the industry. She's amazing. She's a level 2, level 3 qualified therapist, level 4 psychiatrist. So she's got qualifications and masters in psychology. So it was weird because the first week and second week I met her, obviously my sister paid off this whole thing. Like, thank you. I've got to thank my sister because she put her money and I didn't even need her to do that. Do you know what I'm saying? So she paid for my therapy, and then Sarah done it for half price regardless anyway. So she done it for the love of it. So first week I didn't really have a connection. I was just thinking like, I don't think this girl can relate to my problems. She was just trying to give me like coping mechanisms and like trying to see where it's figuring. Then till then the second week, she comes into the room. She was like, right, I'm going to tell you about my story, about where I come from. I'm going to tell you about my Iraqi side of my dad.
Wow. And
I'm going to tell you about my situation. As soon as I related to her situation, I then saw the context of this whole picture within a deeper matter. Because remember, that year, Cadet passed away as well.
Yeah.
And Cadet was one of my closest guys I ever had like in this game, like who brought me the opportunity to do BTS, which a lot of people didn't give me the opportunity at first. So he was like a big brother figure to me. So losing him and having that on the same year was impactful. It was very disheartening. I just didn't know what to do. I felt like my life was shaken. I felt everything was just coming to an end. Then as soon as Sarah opened herself about her story and about her problems with her dad and how she had to separate herself to her mum's side of her family and that for a bit and all of that, and how she got racially discriminated by her dad's family because obviously she had half black in her, it was just mad. It was just mad. And then just relating to a whole situation, and then just, how should I say, taking it in and just feel like I was abided to her energy was just, it was so important. It was a very, very important change. And it changed the whole mood of everything.
Wow.
Then me and her start to get deep into the context, and like till this day I still speak to her. Like, I've got to give her a massive shout out because she changed. She rehabbed me. She gave me an opportunity to speak about things which now I've given more opportunity to speak to other young people about, doing all these advocacy talks and speaking to like different schools like Notting Hill School Academy,
Come on.
UCL, UAL, UAL University, Middlesex, now doing Ravensbourne. Like, the fact that I'm giving back and speaking to these communities and just giving the opportunity to speak to young people about these things which they don't get provided with from the government whatsoever, is super important, because we are the definitive living embodiments of these things that are currently going through these things, and young people don't have a figure like that can help them out. So it's super important for like people like myself and people like others who are around that circle to really change the swing of their mood and the dynamics of the game. So yeah, man, it's just, she gave me a lot of belief and just a lot of push to carry on doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, man, 2020 comes. It was the year where I actually balanced my depression super, super well. I didn't let lockdown get me down. I didn't let it derail my momentum.
Wow.
I found new ways to be an innovator. I started my podcast. I changed the game. I had more ideas doing billboard campaigns for major artists and that. And it was one of my best years I had in my career.
Oh, that's beautiful, man.
And it's just, I think what was a game changer, one more thing as well, when I had to sit down with my dad.
Wow.
And spoke to them for the first time about my situation. And my dad gave me a background about his problems and what he went through. It's, yeah, when my dad went through, I could relate. And then I think one time as well, there was another thing that my mum hid from me. Basically, she was going to a trauma centre. So it was called Woodfield Trauma Centre. It was based in like Shepherd's Bush, innit? So she took me there like, for the first time, I think, to an appointment, because she didn't want to tell me. As soon as I took her for the first time, I was outside and I was just waiting, and she was in her seat without other people. I was crying, bro. I was broken because I didn't look, bro. I just hated seeing her in that position, bro. It was just scary. It's real life, bro. Like, it's real life. People think it's like something mad. It's just, yeah, man. It was scary, man. But at the same time, I had to see it, because if I didn't see it, I didn't know what their experiences would be like.
Yeah.
And they still go through a lot of stuff, man. Like my mom, she's in broken relationships with her family members. She's been finessed a lot by her family members. Till this day, she bought a house from her own money. She got finessed by her brother-in-law for 7 years, and he's still not giving her back the house. My dad's threatening, saying, I'm going to come down and kill you, all this shit. And it's just mad, bro. Like, just hearing all these stories. And my mum, obviously, my dad get his family involved, and my mum's family don't like my dad's family. My dad's family hate my mum's family with passion. It's just sometimes I just wish my uncle was alive, because he was like the peacemaker between everyone. But at the same time, just gotta move and be strong, man. Certain of the things, yeah, they teach you these real things, man. And then I think when I sat down with them and I really got to speak to them, that's when they saw the bigger picture. And I think what really helped me ease within the relationship was spending time with them during lockdown.
Wow.
Because I was on tour, I was all over the world, I was touring, I was in other countries. They didn't really get to see me. Like, the only time they saw me, come back home during night time, do my thing, shoot, come back, sleep, hi, blah, 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 hug, kiss, blah, blah, blah. That's it, done, dusted. And it was just like, it wasn't the relationship I had with them properly that I used to have. So lockdown really helped me. Even like now, bro, like I'm super tight with them. I always give them money back, and now they understand my journey a bit more.
Yeah.
So you need to give them, I feel like sometimes when they see these things, it opens their mind drastically differently. So yeah, man, it was just, yeah, I've been through it, man, and I still do go through it. It's not an easy journey. But I know for a fact, all these things that happen, like blah, 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 like the situations that's happening within this situation, like, it's within my DNA, man. Like, I've got a DNA of a Babylonian, bro. Like, Babylon and Samaria, Mesopotamia, they were known to not be givers. That these people had superpowers, and they were like innovators and inventors of like many things. And the Babylonian Empire was one of the biggest empires in the world. So to have that relation to like my DNA and history, it's super, super key, man. Super, super key. I was very ignorant towards my culture when I was very young. So then when my dad spoke to me about my culture, and then he spoke to me about the history of Iraq and that, I had to look into it. And it's mad because Iraq has a lot of relations to the black community. Because Samaria and Mesopotamia, they're people, or black people.
Mhm.
If you look at the old paintings, Sumerians were black looking people. So it's just mad, like, and I found out the other time, like, I think it was last year, my dad done a DNA test on his side of his family, and he found out, like, he's got 4% Akkadian blood in him. So Akkadians were like a Sumerian tribe in Samaria that invented the first ever language.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Akkadian is like the first ever human language, and they were the first black people of the Arab nation, which was for Iraq, so for like Samaria. So it's mad. And then my dad found, I don't know as well, like my dad told me as well, like last year, that he's actually got a cousin that is Afro-Iraqi, which I was like, yo, I never knew that. And it's mad because there's only like a 10% of them, but they all get racially abused and that. And then my dad's had to defend them so many times. My dad one time went back to their city one time. He got held at gunpoint because he was like, oh, why are you going back and giving these people their money when they're not even Iraqis? And my dad was like, who the hell are you pointing the gun at? Do not dare to put your gun at me because I'll bust all of your faces and that. And he goes, they're human beings like us. Like, just because that person's skin is black doesn't make him different to how I am. Like, my dad was an advocate for standing up against
people. Yeah.
And I loved him for that, honestly. Like, he taught me to be very, very open-minded.
Big up, Dad, man.
So, yeah, man. Especially like my mum as well.
Thank you for sharing that, because you don't have to, man. And these, you know, when people say, you know, I went through a dark time, I'm grateful that you can unpack what a dark time actually means, like practically what it looks like, so that people can understand. You're not just talking, you know, off your head. You're talking from real life experience. So thank you for sharing that, man. I wanted to, just to close out, you said this quote, all right? Are you ready for this quote? You said, what matters most is that my work speaks for itself. What matters most is that my work speaks for itself. And I wanted to just close by talking about legacy. You want to be the first under 30 Forbes Arab photographer
in the industry.
And you want to set up your first ever creative media school in Iraq. What is it that you want your work to say? What is it that you want your legacy to be?
That you are the greatest to what you do, and you are the greatest person to ever to do your work, and you are the biggest believer in what others don't believe in you. Always believe that God gave you a purpose for a real reason, no matter what type of world you live in. For example, when I was in Ghana, even though I went to some of the poorest places in Ghana, I saw the freedom that the community had and how happy they were. And we're sitting there back in our houses like, oh my God, pandemic, coronavirus, blah, blah, blah. I get it, it's real life, and obviously people are dying and that, and it's not easy, and we're losing families and that in the countries back in the UK and that. But at the same time, like, when I see them going through like this transition, especially with this whole pandemic going on, they're like, pandemic where? We're still living our life and just enjoying ourselves. And remember, these people, these amazing, beautiful people, they don't have hardly access to electricity and water and that. Like, it's crazy, because when I was there, we was video shooting. I bought the whole village water. I went to buy them water, I went to buy them work, and I sat down with the two people these two Rastafarian Ghanaian guys, twins, who are the tour guides of like the whole city of Jamestown. Oh, like, it was just a phenomenal experience, and it reminded me a lot of home. Because that was their expression of freedom. Yeah. No matter how crazy they were limited to certain things in life, they still had that. And there's another phrase that I follow by, which Mo Stack said brilliantly, He goes, no matter how much money I have, I bought my own house, the car I've got a bit nice family, and I've got all this tour money and all that and happiness around me. I'm still deep down not happy.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So just in relation to Mo Stack's whole quotation about that, it's super important, because you got to remember, always be grateful that the fact there's two things you should be grateful for: you're alive and you're breathing. I think that's the two major things we don't cherish on this earth.
I'm alive and I'm breathing.
Exactly. Every day in the morning, wake up and be super thankful that you're here. You wake up to another day and you're not asleep and you're not basically gone.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, scary things do happen. Some people die in their sleep and it's fucked up.
Yeah.
It's so messed up, bro. So it's like, be thankful every day that you're alive, you're well, you're strong-hearted, and you got another day to live for and another purpose to live for.
Amazing. Oh, thank you so much for today, man. Can we have a round of applause, please, in the comment section, man?
Round of applause to you, man.
Bro, thank you. Thank you for your time, man.
Come on, bro.
I'm wishing you the best in this year. I'm thankful to God that day they bust down that door, because you can be sitting down here talking to me, not just to me,
bro,
but to everybody in this room, and sharing your experiences.
What's so mad, on top of what you're saying, one of my friends said to me, imagine a scene without ZEK in the scene. He goes, imagine if you killed yourself that day. And he goes, imagine, because I said to him, I said, like, bro, I don't think I would have mattered. He goes, bro, I think your death would have been on the same category as Cadet's death. He goes, because the impact you had in the photography industry is super unreal. Yeah. So he goes, just be thankful that a lot of people love you and they cherish your flowers when you're still.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do it, to again give you your flowers now, and we're thankful that you are alive, and we're thankful that you're breathing. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. ZEK didn't even use one pass card, even though he could have, and we appreciate that. The recording of this is going to be on IGTV, and we're going to put it on YouTube and our podcast platforms. But ZEK, again, we thank you so much for your time.
No, man, I thank you, bro, like, for this amazing platform and this life-changing platform, giving people the opportunity to be speaking about these situations. And as well, like, please, everyone, just follow him up. He's amazing. I mean, bro, listen, when this whole thing's over, we need to actually do a live panel, bro.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be gosh.
Yeah. When this whole thing's over,
it'll be beautiful.
Yeah, it's that time, bro. It's that time. So
definitely.
Yeah, man. It's let's continue to do what we love. Let's just continue to do what we do. And this is a message to everyone. If you're suffering from any sort of depression, anxiety, mental health, please don't be afraid to speak out. Because trust me, there are people that care about you. I know isolation may be thinking our best solution, but trust me, you don't want to fall into darkness. Darkness only consumes you away from your light, and it will drain you away from the light itself. So I remember that. Don't ever forget that, people. Like, I'm still here. You guys are still here, and it's always amazing to see everyone being alive and just still living their day, no matter how much situations we have. So I appreciate you, bro, very, very much, and I appreciate everyone here, man.
God bless, man.
No, bless, bro.
Take care, bro. Have a great evening.
Bro.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us, man. Such an uplifting evening. Let us know in the comment section how you found it, whether you came in for 5 minutes, whether you came in for the whole time. Thank you so much for joining us. If this is your first time, big up Ferks, amazing designer. If this is your first time, join us for 21 questions. Click on our IGTV, and we've got so many episodes that you can watch similar to this. People are dropping information, gems, things that people